Hello everyone, my name's Phil, and welcome to the Pixel Tavern interview with Cullen Dwyer of DoinkSoft, developers of Gato Roboto, Gunbrella, Throttle, and Dark Scrolls. Me and Cullen had lots to chat about, so there's a few weird video cuts here and there, but we had a great conversation all about his development history, and especially Dark Scrolls. For more interviews like this one, please subscribe to the channel for more to come, and some already available too. I hope you all enjoy. Hello, my name's Phil, and welcome to the Pixel Tavern. This is an interview with the DoinkSoft developer, Cullen Dwyer. How's it going, Cullen?
Hey, it's going all right. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. So just to sort of introduce yourself a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about your history as a developer? I know about Gato Roboto, Gunbrella, and everything, but you just give us a little taster of what you've done up until this point.
So I am one of the studio heads at DoinkSoft. We started with a game called the Gato Roboto, which is Metroidvania where you play as a cat inside a robot suit.
Which is amazing, by the
we
way.
pitched that to. Thank you. Yep, still up there on our games that we have to top ourselves on. We pitched it to Devolver and got it signed with them as our first game as a studio. Previously, we'd all worked on games before though, and basically since then I've just kept putting out games with Devolver. They like to rework with people. We did the Devolver bootleg sort of prank game that they did, which was a bunch of demakes of other Devolver games. That was a really fun project. We did a game called Gunbrella, which is kind of a murder mystery sci-fi platformer where you have a shotgun that's also an umbrella that you use for movement. And then we did Throttle, which is a physical exclusive Nintendo Switch shmup game where you play as a vampire and a cowboy. It's kind of just a co-op game. And then finally I was
going to say, that's the only game I haven't played of yours yet, because I can't find a physical copy here, but I will be getting one.
Oh, I'll try to get you I'll try to get you a copy. I can probably find one to send to you.
What, a digital? That's a digital copy?
Yeah. Dude, I have like hundreds of them here. You can still find them in the wild at like some of the US game stores. I think you can find them at Game UK sometimes, but
Game UK is pretty much a very small window in a sports shop over here now, so it's pretty much gone, but I can have a look.
Well, maybe not. And then we ended on our newest game here, Dark Scrolls, which is a auto-scrolling platformer roguelike with online multiplayer.
It is. Yeah, and as I said before, thank you for the review copy of that. I had a great time playing it. It was a shame that it was before, because when I tried to play it online, obviously there was no one there yet, so didn't get much on the multiplayer.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so this interview will be mostly around Dark Scrolls, but we will go into a couple of your other games as well, because mostly for me, I just want to know more about Gato Roboto as well. I love that game. But we'll start with Dark Scrolls itself. So first off, can you tell me what were your key inspirations for gameplay in Dark Scrolls? After watching your interview the other day, I know it has something to do with Castlevania. Is that right?
Yeah, my original prototype for it over a decade ago was, and it was the code name that we had used for the project while we were settling on what we wanted to call it, was Vladius, and it was supposed to be an auto-scrolling Castlevania type game.
Oh, interesting.
And so yeah, I'd say like Castlevania, Ghosts and Goblins, as far as video games go, Castlevania, Ghosts and Goblins, side-scrolling shmups like Gradius or R-Type. And then in general, I love like genre mashup roguelikes too. So things even like 10 years ago, Spelunky was a little fresher, and it was like, oh, that's cool doing a platformer roguelike. That's a cool idea, kind of thing. So,
have you got a favorite roguelike yourself?
Man, I really like classic roguelikes a lot. I really like Shiren. Shiren the Wanderer series is really good. So like the Mystery Dungeon kind of series.
Okay.
The newest one, Serpent Coil Island, was really good, but I really like the second one for the N64 is really good.
Oh, right. The N64 had roguelites. I didn't know that was a thing.
It had Sheer and the Wanderer. It's a Japanese exclusive release.
Oh,
But,
I see. Yeah, that'll be
yeah.
why.
But yeah, those are like the grid-based, turn-based ones. I really like those a lot. As far as like action ones go, or like the newer kind of roguelite hybrid kind of things, one of my favorite games of all time is Downwell.
Damn. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I really love
That's one that's on my
yeah.
wish list to get still. I'm sure you
It's
understand the
fantastic.
backlog.
It's the best $3 or whatever you'll ever spend. It's so
Is
good.
that all it costs? Oh, yes, yes.
It's
I'm
very cheap. Yeah.
I'm thinking of Animal Well, but yes, Downwell. Yeah, that's it's kind of just like almost like black and white, isn't it? And you're just literally just falling down a
Yeah, it's
well the whole time.
kind of similar art style to Gato Roboto.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's you just go downwards, and you have gun boots. So it's one input and directional. So you jump, and then you press jump again to shoot downwards below
Oh, that sounds
yourself,
awesome.
and it's a really great game.
By any chance, is that where it's going slightly off topic? But is that where the down attacks came from in Dark Scrolls with your double jump attacks? Feels related.
I think it comes from a similar philosophy, at least, of you should try to make the most out of one button that you can. But no, I wasn't really thinking about it too much when I did that. No.
Fair enough.
Um,
Great. I mean, so we kind of covered then about it being somewhat Castlevania inspired. Was that like the main inspiration for the actual gameplay, or did the gameplay come from somewhere else? Because the art style is quite Castlevania-y, but
right. No, the gameplay, I'd say, is more of just Britt and I working together and tweaking things and liking the same things, and kind of spending time being like, make the acceleration a little faster and make the jump height peak a little higher, and kind of tweaking and just kind of doing our own thing with it. The sort of strafing you can do while holding to fire is one of Britt's favorite things from Caro Blaster, which was like kind of a spiritual successor to Cave Story by the same developer of Cave Story. And in that game, it was built for mobile, and you have like on the mobile device, you have a literal like car shifter, and you shift it to the direction you want to be shooting, and then you just move, But the idea of like strafe shooting, I think definitely from Britt's likes came from Caro Blaster for sure.
I kind of got from when I saw the trailers. I didn't think it so much when I actually played it, but I got Gunstar Hero vibes, the Mega Drive game.
Yeah.
Sort of
oh yeah. Running guns are another good kind of. That's why it's a 2-player. I think is from the kind of run and gun feeling of playing on a, Contra or something on a Super Nintendo with me.
I the Contra I never really got a chance to play, or I didn't play Gunstar Heroes until it was on the Virtual Console on the Wii. But yeah, that was kind of my first introduction to running guns. But I wish there was more of them. And Dark Scrolls to cover that.
My brother and I played a lot of Contra 3 on the Super Nintendo together when we were growing up. So.
Perfect. Okay, so on to the second question. So we had what was the very first thing that you made for Dark Scrolls? Was it a character you made first? Was it was it a level that first came to mind? What was the very first thing that you made for it?
It was definitely the character controller. The most similar character that would exist in the game right now would be Grizz. I didn't have any of the double jump stuff. I just had the shooting and strafing and jumping, and then auto scrolling for it. And it was just like rectangles. And I was like, Britt, can you make me a character for this kind of thing? So and so he kind of self-portraited himself a little bit with Grizz.
I did get the feeling that it might be. The beard gives it away.
He had longer hair a bit ago too. So
right.
So yeah, we had started with Grizz as a character, I'd say, and then started working out the double jump mechanic, and then we went through a lot of iterations on what the power ups would be. But we'd started up with all the shots and stuff are going to be different elemental pickups you could pick up, similar to like something like Gunstar Heroes or something where you pick up a different gun and then it's equipped on a slot.
Oh, okay.
So the first power up I made was the fire perk, actually.
Nice.
It was like the fire imbued weapons.
I found the fairy that gives you hearts, that was every single time I saw that was always the one I was like, I have to buy this or I will not make it to the end.
Definitely, yeah. I like the summonable ones too. There's actually a couple perks that are bugged and not showing up, even though people have unlocked them. Not from purchasing from the dojo minigame that will be releasing in my patch, so it should feel like a content update because there's some
nice.
funny summonable ones in there too.
So you've got you can add more to the training room area.
Not more to the training area room. It's just that the things that were supposed to be unlocked from the training room area aren't being unlocked properly. So if you've done the training room area stuff, once I patch, you should have some new unlocks already for you.
What's the new release of that? A couple of bugs, right?
It's the way of it, especially for a small team. But I mean, or maybe not especially for a small team, because if you're a big team, you probably have a bigger game with more bugs possible. But
true. But you do have
we try to iron out everything we can. That's true. Yeah.
Did you have many testers for this?
We did. Yeah. We had some we have some internal testers at Devolver, and then some friends and family testers, and then we also hired a quality assurance house that we usually work with.
Oh, nice.
And they did several runs of various types of testing. There's all kinds of different testing you have to do for, compliance for platforms, for localization, implementation, and for general bugs and stuff like that. So,
how nerve-wracking is that initial test run? How are you thinking like, no one's going to find any bugs, and then hundreds come back?
No, I think the worst is when you really want them to find bugs and they don't come back with bugs, and you're like, but I found bugs, and that's just like, there's only so much labor that you can put into it. Once you release a game into the wild, though, you find all of the bugs because they all get just reported by the players.
I don't know how they got away. I mean, obviously there's lots of bugs in games like the SNES and NES and N64 era, but
sure, yeah.
It's crazy that there wasn't that many that had completely game-breaking bugs. So it's quite impressive.
Yeah. That's something I look back on as incredibly impressive, I'd say.
Yeah. I imagine they had to test a lot.
They did patch games, there's different, take Ocarina of Time or something like that. They have version 1, and then there's a bug that they found, and so then the new revs of the physical releases have the bug fix in it and stuff. So
I know they changed the second Fire Temple, that it had religious chants or something in it that they didn't realize, and they had to wait for the second version. There's a pretty famous sample pack that they just pulled it from and didn't research what it was. I imagine that won't be in the remake either.
Probably not. It's for the better.
To be fair, the version they put in it afterwards was better anyway, so okay, great. So we kind of spoke a little bit about the art style anyway. Was that exclusively, you pulled from Castlevania in terms of how you wanted it to look, or was there some other games that kind of inspired you as well, or any films as well? I've discovered a lot with pixel art that films are often a inspiration for it.
I think with Brit, when we end up with a more cartoony kind of style, it's a lot of old Sunday morning cartoon kind of vibe, trying to capture that vibe. Castlevania, we kind of ditched that really soon because Castlevania has pretty tall character models, and so I kind of for a start, a lot of the reference images I would send over for what I wanted to go for was more in the Ghosts and Goblins kind of vein. Exaggerated poses and two-frame animations and stuff like that. And I mean, really, it was just Britt and Miro working together and kind of developing an art style after having a base reference and then kind of making it their own, making it DoinkSoft-like.
Because I was playing Gato Roboto again earlier today, and it is quite, although you can kind of feel the two games are definitely related, the art style is very different for something that comes from the same person. You often think it's going to be very recognizable, the same artist, but no, I mean, they're very two distinctively looking games.
I think it keeps everybody interested in making something new to invent a new identity, in the same way that like I'm working on trying to make differentiating mechanics, even though we make mostly platformers, is like coming up with ways to make those platformers feel very distinct from each other from a gameplay perspective. The artists are also doing the same thing with the art style. They want to work on something fresh and new. They don't want to just do the same art style over and over again. Like if we were to do Gato Roboto 2, we'll probably go, with something referential, but a new art style. It wouldn't just be reusing the art.
I don't imagine you'd be able to tell me if you were, but is Gato Roboto 2 something you've thought about?
Oh, it's absolutely something we thought about. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we love that game. It really comes down to like, if, when we do it, we want to do it right because of how, important and special to our Genesis that game was. Like, and it's a very tricky game to try and create a sequel to, because something that people really like about it is that it's shorter, and like the first thing that people want with a sequel is bigger and better, right? So like, how do you reconcile that? So it's, we've had several like ideas and thoughts, and we have a huge notebook full of Gato Roboto 2 thoughts, but we haven't started on it or anything like that, because it's a
hard one to start.
We really need to like dial into what we think it's going to be.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
but we will hit it eventually. Definitely.
I very much look forward to it, because it's probably like 2 to 3 hours roughly, isn't it? I think that's how long it took me ish. I can't remember now. It's been a while since I played it.
It depends on people's skill. There's some pretty like, honestly, like ridiculously tough bosses in there. I think that kind of filter people a little bit. Where I'd say most players' first time is somewhere in the 2 to 5 hours zone, depending on how familiar they were with the genre.
Yeah, I went in a little too confident against the first boss yesterday, and I was like, oh yeah, right, I forgot this game's a little bit more difficult than I thought it was. The cuteness of the cat threw me off.
Right, yeah.
So this is kind of more into your development history now. So what was the most influential game that got you into game design? Like for myself, I've recently started doing pixel art, and I've got all my influences for doing YouTube and everything. But what can you remember the first thing that made you go, yeah, I want to make a game myself, kind of thing?
I have like so many answers for that, because there were a lot of reinforcing things. But the first one, I remember I was playing Link to the Past for the first time.
Oh, nice.
And I had gotten to the second dungeon, the desert dungeon in that game. And I was a kid, and I had played it at night, and I got kind of stumped because I couldn't find a key at a certain point. And I remember at school in my notebook on a graph paper drawing a map of the rooms that I hadn't thoroughly explored yet. And, and there's pots in this thing, and I'm like, and I lifted these pots, so I bet the key is under this pot, and like made a note to myself in a notebook. And then I went home and played it and picked it up, and sure enough, the key was under there. And I had this like childhood, like little firework where I was like, I go back in time and I'm the one who made this game. And from there I was like, oh, I wonder how you make games. Like, I think that was the first time I remember making that. And then I'd say there's kind of a trilogy. They're not related, but like 3 games that I had played a little later on that I was like, I think I would really like to make games, which were Dark Souls, and like on its release, Shadow of the Colossus, and Killer 7.
The Suda 51 game. That's one of his only games I haven't played. I've never gotten around to it, but it does look. It's essentially a light gun shooter, but with a regular controller, isn't it?
Or is that kind of a hard game to explain. Yeah, so you like. To me, I always thought of it as sort of like a Resident Evil sort of, but stage based. But you're on a rail, you're on a path, and there's little branching paths that you can walk along that path, and then at any point you can go into first person shooter mode. Nice. And like the main mechanic is switching between a bunch of different characters / personalities of aspects of the character you're playing as, to utilize their specialties to kind of overcome
Awesome.
puzzles or combat encounters. Yeah.
Sounds very different from No More Heroes, that's for sure, which is kind of what style Suda's kind of fallen into, but it does sound awesome.
I think a lot of the like the narrative and aesthetic things have a lot of similarities, like the campiness. Loving pro wrestling is in all of those games. There's like a lot of pro wrestling type stuff going on. Yeah. But yeah, no, that game I played and I was like, oh, games can be really different and still very good.
Yeah.
Like,
agreed.
Yeah.
Having Link to the Past as one of your biggest inspirations is very cool. I mean, I'm a massive Zelda fan. I've got it tattooed on my arm.
As I was saying,
got like the full collection. Have you got a Zelda tattoo as well, kind of thing, or?
I don't. The 2 video game tattoos I have are Tetris block. Sorry, it's blurring my thing out, and then kind of upside down. I can't move my laptop camera, and then the other one is a little drone from Gato Roboto.
I thought I recognized that. Yeah. I literally was shooting them earlier, so that's awesome. I mean, I've got like a full physical collection of all the Zelda games, and my first one was Wind Waker, and I had that sort of moment of getting stuck and not being able to progress, and it was pathetically in the Forsaken Fortress. I got stuck like I was about 14, and back then I would just be like, oh, the game's too hard, and I quit. Thankfully I got past that and found my favorite franchise. But Dark Souls, I've played maybe a quarter of Elden Ring. Too difficult for me. I get too stressed out by it.
Elden Ring like really ramps up and like becomes like it becomes difficult in a way that might even be beyond like my interests at a certain point, especially some stuff in the DLC. But beautiful game, like wonderful game. I loved that.
My partner's big into Dark Souls and Elden Ring and everything, and she can't beat the last boss of the DLC. She tried, and then she kind of went, nah, I'm not done for a bit. But it's been about 6 months since she did that, so I think she'll need to train up again.
I hate that fucking sunflower boss in that DLC. Oh my god!
I've never seen it. I've never even beaten the main game. I got past the boss with the moon, and that's where I got stuck. So I got all right. I did all right, but I think that's just too difficult of a series for me.
I'd been pretty fresh off of replaying a lot of their games when I went into it, so it was definitely like especially the later stuff is the timings on enemy attacks or on boss attacks especially are like building on that people have been playing these games for over a decade now, and the first Dark Souls is pretty straightforward as somebody's and then they swing and like you figure out the timing, and then by like Dark Souls 3 they're like feinting you and going like, I'm gonna do a big attack, and no I'm not, just kidding, I'm doing it now to punish you for trying to predict it. And then Elden Ring is like, it's like so meta with that like understanding that people know that you're supposed to wait for timings, and they know that they're going to mess with you. And sometimes like somebody does a perfectly normally telegraphed attack that you refuse to dodge because you're afraid they're going to do something weird, and then they don't.
I think my sort of game is more ninja style. So like I love Metal Gear Solid Rising and Ninja Gaiden and stuff. Mm-hmm. That is just dive in, attack as quickly as possible, dodge and everything else.
Like a character action kind of.
Yeah, you got it. Whereas Elden Ring, Dark Souls is
Devil May Cry.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dark Souls and Elden Ring is too much thought process for me. I'm just like, I just want to attack it. That kind of brings me on to a couple of my joke questions. If you could put a Dark Scrolls boss into Dark Souls, which one would you pick? Who would suit that universe?
I think our caves boss, like our
the lava guy, yeah.
Fire demon one would make the most sense. Like it feels like it might already be one though. I guess like the 3-headed dragon thing would be like one of those Dark Souls gimmick bosses.
But I'd love it if it still had that cartoony look in Dark Souls. That'd be great.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm going with the brain UFO from the moon. I think throw that in.
That works too. with that naming convention, with the naming of Dark Scrolls as well. I heard your story with, I forgot to say, Tucker's interview as well.
Tucker, yeah.
So mine was more around when I was trying to find out information around Dark Scrolls. All I ever got when I googled it was Dark Souls. Did you predict that was going to be a problem?
Yeah, honestly, like more of it was like, what if people get upset because they think it's gonna be like Dark Souls, and
Pixel Dark Souls.
kind of our settling on that was like, that's funny actually.
I thought
more
that
than
too,
like
to be honest.
like all of a sudden you have people saying, if this isn't like some master plan, like we weren't like, and we'll get it popular by making people keep saying the game title over and over again or anything like that, but like, people are talking about, it's not even like Dark Souls, and like there's a conversation happening, even if it's like
it's a good
confused
marketing
one.
campaign.
The worst is when an outlet reviews it and refers to it as like a Souls like, because like there's some sort of like a little bit of a disconnect sometimes there, I think, where I'm like, I don't know, you should know better than to, it's kind of our fault a little bit too, but like you should know better than to like read between the lines here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely not a, for anyone who hasn't played the game who watches this. I don't know why you do it in that order, but yeah, it's nothing like Dark Souls. How often did you accidentally call the game Dark Souls during development though? That's got to have been a common thing.
I don't think once.
Really? Wow. I
yeah.
even did the even when I was recording for the review, I caught myself a couple of times. I'm like, no, Scrolls.
Yeah, well, we had referred to it by its working title for so long that maybe we just didn't have as many opportunities.
What was its working title? Oh, it's Dungeon Scrolls, wasn't it?
Vladius.
Oh, Vladius.
Yeah.
And with Vladius, is that a reference to something? I haven't played much Castlevania.
It was kind of like a portmanteau of like Vlad, like.
Oh yeah.
The Impaler and Gradius, yeah, as like an auto-scrolling vampire game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just kept it because it was a good working title. That
it does work. To be fair, that would have been a good name for the game as well, I suppose.
Yeah, but we don't have any vampires in the game, so
that's true. You do need to add a vampire into it now. Now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah.
Speaking of adding characters to it, so did you ever consider adding any of your other characters into this? So Gato Roboto as a character, for example, would have been. Did you ever consider that?
We consider like some Easter egg type stuff, with that sort of thing, but in general we kind of like to keep the things distinct. I guess like another one, we were like, the game's sort of a spiritual successor to Demon Throttle.
Oh yeah.
Where we, like one of our mock-ups was just doing the cowboy from Demon Throttle as like a multiverse kind of joke or whatever, but we ended up cutting that character.
You said about that character then that you cut. Were there any other characters that you cut, and is there any that you can show us, or any that you're considering adding later?
Yeah, I'll just kind of drop stuff in as we're talking about stuff. But yeah, here was like a map mock-up.
I gotta see if I can get out of
that we had done. So, but I also have the character list on the side.
Oh yeah.
Paladin. Those aren't the characters. Like barbarian, thief, mage, dog, robot, alien, dwarf, paladin, cowboy, and chef. So some of those are in. Like that was a very, very early sort of.
Oh yeah, that's the actual layout of the levels as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Minus computer, which didn't make it in.
Oh, that's a shame. How would you have gotten to computer? So from forest, you could get to computer, was it?
I think it was going to be like you interacted with something weird in town.
Oh, interesting.
And it was going to be like a virtual simulator level that was like 12 times as long as a normal level with like several bosses through it.
That sounds insane.
And I was like, we're like, okay, maybe we'll keep that for some content or something later, as we were just kind of dialing in the rest of the stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, no, we did not end up with cowboy. We did not end up with paladin. We did not end up with robot. Actually, the robot character is used as the robot NPC in the game.
Oh, okay.
The little cowboy robot was like kind of like we were mashing up the cowboy and the robot to try and do one character with it. So that's just, we kept him as an NPC.
Did you ever have any? Did you develop any art for them or anything, or was it just the names and you had the ideas there? And I have to ask as well, did you ever consider the 3 stack of geese as a character?
No, we did consider doing something goose related. I've got robot in there. These are very, very old,
nice
kind of concepts. Some of them stayed good. Some of them are off model from what they are now, but.
Mm-hmm. Was there any particular reason they got dropped? Was it just development time, or because I think you said that you originally planned 10, but you ended up bringing it down to 9 because of development?
Right. It kind of came down to time, but also there's kind of this multiplicative factor to making a new character where for the 3 elemental perks, at least, like each of them needs a different fire shot, pattern for that. And then, you have to make their specials and their double jump abilities and, play test them both in co-op and outside of co-op. And it's more like, where are we going to put this to even unlock it in the first place kind of thing.
That's fair. I'm assuming the computer character would have been somewhere in that computer level originally.
Yeah, it was like you would do the computer level and then unlock them as kind of like the final character.
Do you think you'll add them in a future update? Do you think that'll be a thing, or are they kind of too much work to add in?
It'd be really cool to do another character. But yeah, it kind of depends because again, we're small, so I want to get the game, updated and patched and a little bit balanced, and maybe add a few extra little things. But any update you do in a game, if I add new text, I have to get it translated to 10 languages, and so any little thing that's like, oh, why can't you do this, is like, well, then I also have to get a bunch of translators and translate testers and stuff going on. And as a small team, it's like we have to balance our time between working on this game more or starting on our next thing.
Yeah.
We only have so much labor to put towards stuff. So all the time I'm spending working on this is time not spent working on something like Gato Roboto 2 or whatever I end up doing next,
Yeah, and I suppose as well, it's whether or not you do it as free DLC or free patch or whatever, and then obviously, it's whether it brings in revenue kind of thing. It's an important side of it.
Right. And I think there's an amount of goodwill you want to have with the players too. Thanks for playing. Here's this thing. I think that the free DLC thing is a really good angle. I really love. I would say that Hollow Knight really popped off because of the amount of free DLC that they did.
Yeah.
It was doing well, but then it started doing really well once there's these gigantic free DLCs being added to it. Right.
Yeah, I can imagine Stardew Valley.
I really like the idea of free DLC more than I let's squeeze some more money out of this. Ideally you'll just bring more people because they'll be hey, they keep adding cool new stuff to this game, more than hopefully that if you do it that way. I'm not saying that is what I'm doing, but whatever update I'll do for this game will be free, but I'm not planning to infinitely update it.
Yeah.
If you do it that way, hopefully the goodwill and new players it brings outweighs the $3 or whatever you're going to make selling it to the people that already really like your game.
Yeah, I imagine Stardew Valley would be in a very different position if every update was paid for. So it's a good way to look at it. That actually brings me on to one of my later questions, which is I know this game doesn't have crossplay, and crossplay is not something I know too much about how it works, but what was the reason for not implementing that? Is that quite a big cost to add in, or is that a lot of extra development time, or what kind of brings that in?
It's extra development time, but also, so if you use the platforms, for instance, like Steamworks networking for Steam, you can leverage a lot of the social things really easily. And the platforms are really cool with you just using their stuff. For instance, Nintendo has matchmaking or lobby services, and and online stuff, so you can invite your friend into a game via their menus and stuff like that, and see who's playing what. It introduces a level of complexity, and also you have to maybe host your own matchmaking servers versus the platforms generally give it to you for free. And it's a smoother experience on both to just stick with the platform specific APIs for stuff like that. From my understanding,
that's fair enough. Like, I know crossplay is kind of more in sort of like your AAA big publisher title sort of thing. So I didn't really expect it to be in this. I've just always personally been curious as how that works. But thank you for that. Okay, I'll go a couple of random ones now. So Biscuit, the dog, is he based on a real dog? It feels like that was somebody's pet at some point.
Biscuit himself isn't, but the art might be based off of Brit's dog Tendo. But the scary bark like dog image that does appear is just a picture of Brit's dog that I had put in as a placeholder, and I had it just like as a full photograph at once. And then but then I thought it was funny, so I kind of crunched it down into a pixel and kept it to the palette, but it is a picture of Brit's dog.
I did think that was going to be somebody's real dog. Did you say Brit's dog's name was Tendo?
Tendo, like Nintendo.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. That's a great name. I've got 2 rabbits called Link and Zelda, so it's nothing. You've got to name your pets nerdly. So. Perry, so you showed us some concept art on the characters, and you spoke about the additional levels. Did you have any art on any other bosses that you had planned, or any imagery of the levels you did? These are great, by the way. I love who does the art style? I know Britt does the pixel art. Does he do the concept art as well?
The concept art was mostly Miro, who's worked with us since Gato Roboto. Most of the time he was doing animations, but the like character portraits and the cutscene art and stuff was all Miro during this game. Let's see. Yeah, I'm grabbing one here.
I've never been I'm not a particularly good drawer, but I have really gotten into pixel art since interviewing Sandy from Yacht Club Games. So I've found a new appreciation for it all.
It's really fun.
It really is. It's almost like it's almost like paint by numbers in a way, but in like a really interesting way. Oh wow, what is that? Is that one of the bosses?
This was like a alternate forest boss. Like we were like, maybe we can do 2 bosses per level. It ended up being too much work, but it's going to be like a flower, and then those smaller flowers are rotating around, so you have to jump up and around them.
That looks awesome.
Kind of mock up for that. I also have some.
Reminds me a lot of.
It's actually fun.
Have you played Sonic 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the. What was it? Launch base zone boss from Act 1. It had like a ball with like spinning spikes around it. It reminds me of that look.
Yeah.
A forest version of it.
Or like some other enemy mock-ups that Miro had made.
Oh, that's great. And none of these are in the final game, are they?
The mushroom there's kind of a version of that skull. There's a version. There's the eye bat and the mushroom dog, kind of in various forms ended up in there. But basically just like drew me a huge grid of enemies, and we're like, which ones do you want to use for stuff? And I was like, let's do these ones, and drew so many that we couldn't possibly get them all in. But
that's understandable.
Yeah, you see, like on most of them, they use like only 3 colors too.
Yeah.
That was like a restriction that we had kept for it.
Is that so? In regards to that, were you trying to make a game that could run on something like the NES or the SNES, or was it more just you were emulating the style of it? I'm guessing this wouldn't run. It sure as hell wouldn't run this smoothly on an NES.
Right. There's a certain amount of we should do things this way. Like Brit was getting really big into making like actual Game Boy games in a hobby way. So like a lot of the art styles that Brit was doing was very like Game Boy Color. related. But as far as the total aesthetic, I think we were going for something a little bit more referential than like honest or true. Like the pixels are each made up of 4 pixels, and we do like the squashing and stretching and rotating thing in this one.
Oh, of course, that wasn't
because we wanted to be more like we wanted to be more like referential to the like 2 pixel art than trying to emulate any particular console or anything like that.
So was 4-player ever considered? I imagine that would be absolutely insane, but did you ever think about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we started with 2 because most of the time when I play a co-op game, I just play with one friend. Like I've been playing Marathon a bit, and I just play with only my brother, even in trios. We won't crew fill. We just play together. But after playing it online, especially like once online was up and working and I'm playing with Britt, I'm like, oh man, I wish we could just like have a full squad and a full party. The game as it is, it's completely like it's impossible to make anything that would feel good to play that way. But I did consider like, maybe we can ask for like 6 more months and redo all the levels and just zoom the screen out twice as much and make it a 4-player game instead. Yeah. There's a hard balance between like the scale of a pixel art game, because you want to keep it at perfect integer scalings, so that you don't get like weird distortion. So it'd have to be twice zoomed out, which means that the characters wouldn't be as prominent. And we really were into the character designs on this one, so we wanted to make sure they took up a good deal of real estate. But adding 4 players, it's just like there's no possible way that would be a fun game, as it is now. If we made the levels bigger and zoomed out, I think the platforming would actually be a lot better. There'd be a lot more screen real estate to have cool platforming challenges or kind of zigzagging races up and down to try and be chased by the screen. And would work for 4-player, but we had already designed all the levels and stuff by the time that crossed our minds. So.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I when I was playing, I was like, I can imagine this 4-player, but yeah, it definitely would have needed tweaking to make that work. You actually mentioned your brother there. I've had the fun of running into him on Discord, saying about how he needs to have a rap battle with you and everything. But I'm assuming that's not going to happen. He actually sent me a question for you as well, saying I'm assuming it's your brother anyway. It's got the same surname, and he came across
my
that
brother.
way. He said, how have you found game design philosophy has changed in the last 25 years? Or kind of what I'd be interested in as well, how do you find it's changed since you started developing games?
I mean, all over the place. I think there's a general sort of, like in a general outlook, I'd say like games have pushed towards following formula in a way that I'm not really comfortable with doing. Like something happens, it's incredibly successful, and it's not even bad that it was successful. So take something like Vampire Survivors or something like that, right? And then that becomes like a new formula that then gets milked to death until somebody's original and does something else, like, oh, now it's Spelatra or that kind of thing, or the pick 3 perks style of roguelite. And like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that design. It's just kind of like I feel like a lot of designers are like looking for like what the canon is for like what is good design, quote unquote. And in a lot of ways, I think it's kind of like the death of creativity or risk, when all the things that start off these trends are trying something a little risky or new, right? I would say there's a lot more like kind of like monoculture in game design as time goes by too. Like if you play any third person 3D game, and this is generally a lot of indies aside, they all kind of control the same, you know, like it's like every button does the same thing and you can really expect how to control it. And if you break from that because it's been conditioned to players, they get a little frustrated, like, why isn't jump on this button? Or why can't I aim down sights with the left trigger, or why do I stand in place while I'm aiming? Like, am I not allowed to move while I aim? And there's this kind of attitude like, oh, we've learned better by now, when they're all just design movements that we're all kind of following. And I think the most interesting thing about game design is like the player interface, like the controller. And as like the controllers have homogenized too, right? Like the Switch controller looks a lot more like the Xbox controller than the GameCube controller looks like the original Xbox controller, right? And so like the actual interface you're using to interface with a game is either mouse and keyboard or a controller. And simultaneously, designers are using the language that is understood about those controllers to continue making very similar feeling experiences, because at the core with those, controls is you're doing the same thing. I still think there's a lot of space left on a keyboard and on a gamepad, like a standard looking gamepad, to try unique things. And I'd say like my biggest like kind of pet peeve is that less designers try doing interesting things with the controller.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said there. There's so many companies now, especially AAA space, that are chasing trends. So like Overwatch came out, for example, and then 5 or so years later, all these companies bringing out Overwatch clones like Concord and Marvel Rivals and everything. And it's like, but the trend has already been and gone. Like Overwatch, it's still pretty big. I'm sure I played it a bit and everything myself, but it's you can't start chasing a trend when it comes out, because by the time you've released that game 6-7 years later, it's done. And it's an issue the gaming industry's had for the last generation, at least the last generation, I would say.
Yeah, and a lot of that kind of stuff like breathes as like designed by committee rather than like what interesting experience are we going to make? And I'm not actually that cynical about it, because there's so many games that come out to play. There are a lot of indies that are doing really cool stuff. There's plenty of like AAA games that come out that are trying interesting stuff. And like, I don't think it's bad to be referential in your design. And like, I don't think it's bad to be like, this was a really good decision that Breath of the Wild made, and we're going to try and do that too.
Yeah.
So long as it isn't just like, let's make the next Breath of the Wild or whatever. You know what I mean? Like taking like the climbing mechanics from Breath of the Wild, a lot of indies especially like replicate it. And it's a great thing to pull from that game into your game, because you're not capable of making Breath of the Wild. So you can do things with climbing though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I completely agree. Like, it's, if you're referencing something, you're taking a component of it. I mean, that's pretty much art in general. You take a component from something else and turn it into your own. But when you start getting things that copy
or
too
technique,
much,
you can think of it like a technique, right?
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Like if it was painting, it's like you're studying, doing a master study or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, like, I do wonder how the very first painting ever got made, because it's like, what were they? I'm guessing they were just inspired by what they could see, but how the hell did they work out how to actually do the work is beyond me.
Right.
There was one other fan question as well from Austin Sutter from Tech Raptor. So they said, so you guys have kind of gone a few different genres now. You've had Dark Scrolls and Gato Roboto and Gunbrella and everything, all quite different games. Is there any genres that you find are off limits to you, something you would never work on? And is there any that you've tried that you sort of put into a prototype phase and just realized it wasn't working? Was there any genres that don't work for you?
I fucking hate racing games. Like
not a Mario Kart fan.
There's like kart racers. Like, you want to compete with Mario Kart? Like, you think you can make a better kart racer than Mario Kart? And like, Mario Kart I have enough fun with, or especially like a lot of old arcade racers I have fun with, but like the technology and like the understanding of a vehicle that goes into this, I just don't have it. I'm like, we tried one once, like a long time before we were even DoinkSoft, and I was like, I hate working on it. It's just not fun to work on. I
imagine it's a lot of maths.
Matt, it's more like how are you going to handle faking that you aren't actually driving a real car? Like, how are you going to handle the drifting and cornering and like the camera and stuff like that? And it's like I'm just not smart enough to make a racing game, I don't think.
Which is strange because they seem, from like a player perspective, they seem less complicated than most games. It's just emulating a car, but when you actually put it into designing that, I imagine it is one of the more complicated things to do.
I would do like a top down, like from the top angle, sort of like what do you call those little RC car type?
Is it literally called RC? It's a NES game by Rare.
Slot car kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that game. Yeah, I would try maybe something like that, but I'll leave it to the racing game devs. I'll also never probably do a any sort of like military shooter or anything like that.
Fair.
Obviously,
I mean, there's enough of them, so I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you ever do get the urge to make a racing game, either have you heard of Split Second before?
I've not, no.
No? Oh, it's an incredible racing game that unfortunately was owned by Disney, and they shut down the studio that made it in like 2012 when they sold off all their gaming division, but kept the rights to the game, so they can't make a sequel. Make that part 2, or make a new Micro Machines game, because it feels like it's been too long since a good Micro Machines game. Although I will give a shout out to...
I guess racing, if it was like not cars, or like if it was like people running, like doing like a platform, like 3D platformer racing game could be fun. Like time trial, that could be fun. But like the car racing thing, I can't do it.
An older indie game, Runbow, I think it's called Runbow, where it's like a 4-player platform racing game, which is quite cool. Speaking
I'll one of your that one down.
Right, I've not heard of Runbow. Oh yeah, it's I think it's literally 4-player. You all have your own track, and then it kind of combines into one, and you're platform racing through. And there's another game.
Oh, Runbow, like Rainbow.
Yes, yeah, Rainbow,
but
with
run. I know what you're talking about.
But there's a smaller indie one that pretty much no one's heard of. Unfortunately, I don't think it did hugely well. But it's called Muddle Dash, and it's a platform racer, but you have to carry a present between all 4 of you to the party at the end of the level, and
all right.
Only the person who's carrying the present when you get to the party is allowed in and wins the race. So it ends up with you all kicking each other trying to get this present in the last few seconds. It's hilarious.
Nice.
Speaking of your other games as well, so I know you've got the game Demon Throttle, which we've mentioned a couple of times, and is only physical, which is cool and crazy at the same time. So how did you convince Devolver Digital to do it that way, or did they come to you with the idea?
Oh, they came to us.
Really?
when we were originally prototyping that, it was kind of during COVID while we were working on Gunbrella, and I started it because I was getting interested in hardware, and I had a bunch of spare arcade buttons hanging around. And I was like, maybe I'll build an arcade cabinet. What game would I put it in? I'm like, wait, I make games. I can just make an arcade game for it. And so the idea was like, I'd put it on an arcade and just like never release it and just have it as an arcade machine. Mm-hmm. And then, I did show it to Devolver, and they're like, this is great. Would you be interested in releasing it as a physical only, like as like a bit? And I'm like, that's actually perfectly in line with what I was already going for with it. So, I'd say that was a largely successful experiment in that, like, for like a pixel art NES looking vertical scrolling shmup, I don't think a whole lot of people would have bought that game for $30 if it was digital. Do you know what I mean?
Because it only comes in does it only come in the triple pack with Gato Roboto and Gunbrella?
No. It has standalone. It has a standalone regular and special edition with like a manual and stuff that. That was kind of in our we have kind of like 2 tracks of games that we end up making. So we have Gato Roboto, Gunbrella, and Dark Scrolls as sort of our mainline track of games, and then we have our joke bits games, and they're still good games, like and we still put our heart into them, but like that somehow work with like the Devolver likes pulling little marketing pranks and stuff. So the Devolver bootleg and Demon Throttle kind of belong in that category of like, let's do the craziest thing possible we can think of for a marketing stunt for this. And like those ones are fun because it really doesn't matter if they pay out or not. Like it's more about like the joy of doing something really silly. So
that is
a lot more lighthearted.
I do like Devolver for do that. They do seem to get the fun side of publishing games, so it's cool to see they did that.
Definitely, yeah.
Speaking of Devolver, actually, so they bought DoinkSoft back in 2023. Is that right? I think that's what as far as I did research.
Time is immaterial, but yeah, right before we released Gunbrella, but after we had signed Gunbrella with them, yeah.
So, did you find how has your relationship been with them since then? Did it change after they purchased, or is it pretty much the same as it was with Gato Roboto?
It's about the same. I guess I get salary and healthcare now. So nice. Like the income's a lot more stable, and I don't have to run a business. I just have to run the operations of the studio and make games, which is a huge relief because that's like one of the hardest things I think for indie developers to do is manage accounting and taxes and business development and marketing and all that stuff. So being freed from those things is really nice. And mostly our operations work the same, and we were already really good friends with most of the people that are Devolver beforehand anyway. That's kind of how the talks of the deal in the first place came about. And so, I mean, yeah, our relationship's about the same. That's awesome. With just like less fiscal worry for us.
Yeah. That's fair enough. So if you were offered any game franchise to work on with literally unlimited budget, let's say, Nintendo came to you and went, you here's all the money in the world, pick a franchise, what do you think you would go for?
Bomberman.
Oh, that's a good choice. And to be fair, your style would suit Bomberman quite well. What did you think of what was it, Super Bomberman R on the Switch, the two versions that came out for that?
I played it. The gameplay is really good. It was really strange how like realistic the materials were in it compared to like the Bombermans themselves. I liked that it follows the Super Bomberman sort of canon of stuff going on. I think that's like, it's like when they put out like a mainline Mega Man game. Nowadays, it's like really exciting to be like, oh, it's not Mega Man X. It's not some spin-off. It's not this thing. It's the new mainline Mega Man. It kind of felt a little bit like that. Competitive Bomberman's also really fun, and I'd say like the biggest strength of that game was definitely the competitive Bomberman in it.
What was your childhood Bomberman? I had the Super Nintendo, the PS1, and the Mega Drive version over the years, and I loved every single one for different reasons.
Bomberman 64.
Oh, I never played N64 actually. My brother had the N64, so I didn't get to choose what games were bought for it, which meant I didn't play Ocarina of Time until the GameCube. But
yeah, no, Bomberman 64. The aesthetics of like low poly Bomberman and that I like the diorama style level design. I think they did a pretty cool job bringing it into 3D and still having it feel sort of like Bomberman, even though they use the spherical bombs, explosions. Like, especially if you play like the multiplayer mode, it feels like you're playing like a classic Bomberman game, but it's less about clearing the map out and more about, your positioning. But I think it was a good transition into 3D for them. Also, Jun Chikuma's soundtrack. So she's done like all of the Bomberman music since, the original Bomberman. So like, you have your very melodic chiptune or Super Nintendo sound fonty themes and stuff from Bomberman. The same composer for that did like the sick fucking drum and bass soundtrack for that and Bomberman Hero. And nice. Like she's just like an absolute inspiration in music. But
would you go pixelated Bomberman, or would you go 3D N64 style?
3D N64 style.
Nice, interesting.
I have a notebook full of what I would do for Bomberman. So does Britt. Britt has his own separate notebook. Yeah.
Have you ever considered pitching to Hudson Soft? I think it's called.
I think Konami owns it right now.
Konami owns, yeah.
Yeah. I know Konami's doing a lot of outreach to other devs for stuff. Like you get like your Castlevania, especially in that franchise, is getting a lot of like indies on board with stuff with like Dead Souls, and is that what the game's called?
Dead Cells and
Dead Cells. My bad. Yeah, Dead Cells, and then like I know they've been doing a lot more like third party work, so I wouldn't say it's completely an impossible thing, but it's definitely a lot easier for us while we're small to just kind of work on our own intellectual property and stuff. But yeah, absolutely. If anything could happen in the world, it'd be Bomberman. Love that game.
Fingers crossed. I hope you do get to pitch that someday to Konami.
Thank you.
I feel like since the live action video game movies seem to be happening now, I like to ask this. I feel it's going to be something I ask in every interview. If Dark Scrolls were ever made into a live action movie, who would play Grit, and more importantly, who would play the Jazz Rat? I feel like Danny DeVito for the Jazz Rat.
Danny DeVito for the Jazz Rat would be great for Ned and me. I don't know why they would make this into a live action movie.
It would be a weird choice.
Who's the guy that got like pretty popular with like into like Marvel and stuff, but he was from Game of Thrones.
I know exactly who you mean.
Jason.
Jason Momoa. Yeah.
Jason Momoa as Grizz. Yeah. As Grizz. Yeah. 100%.
I've written Grit in my notes. Yeah, he's Grizz. Of course he is.
Yeah, you tied it up with Brit because it's based off of Brit.
Okay, so we've got a few more questions to go. So do you have a favorite character out of the 9 that you choose whenever you play? Is that who you go for, or do you kind of mix between them all?
I like to play through them. They're my babies, and I don't want them to feel left out.
Can't pick between them.
Pigeon. Pigeon's mine. And Brit hates Pigeon. Brit's like, we need to get rid of. I hate Pigeon. Pigeon's the worst character, and Pigeon's my absolute favorite character. I designed that one for my sensibilities, and I really like that character. I play her pretty much every time. And
I picked Pigeon as my first run through, and she was great to play as.
Terrible first character to pick.
Terrible choice. I think I said it in my review that it's like she is pretty much the hardest character to play. I think.
Once you like dial into her, like her super is really cool. Because you go into stealth, and then your first attack out of stealth does 100 base damage.
Absolutely destroys
and you
that
can get. For boss slaying is what she's good at. So you can get split, like the one that makes your projectile split in 2, and then you're shooting 2 of those when you come out of that. And then getting anything that charges that up faster. You can also get the behind one, and that stacks with split, so she shoots 4. And then there's a perk called Double Trouble that makes you take double damage but deal double damage. So you can basically jump inside of a boss, tank a piece of damage, and then while inside of them, shoot the 4. So each of them does 200 damage, which is, I think, for like the heftiest boss in the game, is like a fourth of their health bar or something with one attack. Love it. She's a great character. And then Brit likes Grizz.
Of course,
for the most part, but also like obsessed with playing Saturn and
I love Saturn.
In multiplayer, like loves griefing. It's kind of a character you can grief with a little bit by like abducting all the coins right out of the chest so the second player can't get them and stuff like that. And
I was determined to unlock Saturn before I had to send my review out, and I think I got it like the day before and added everything in for Saturn, so I was very happy to get there. Okay, so Next question was when Yacht Club Games announced the release of Mina the Hollower for the 29th, because I know Dark Scrolls was originally planned for the 28th of May. What were your instant thoughts? Did you have a little bit of hatred for the fact that they were releasing it the day after, or was it just like, oh, we have to move this?
My instant thought was, oh fuck, and like no hatred, nothing like that. It was just like, oh fuck, it's literally like worse for it would be worse for our launch than if we launched on like GTA's launch day. Just like the overlap of audience. Like Mina's like one of the games we were looking forward to the most. So you're telling me like the day after my game launches, I'm gonna care more about somebody else's game than about my own? Like,
it's not what you want to have to do, is it?
Yeah, and like it was like this is like incredibly bad timing, and luckily, like, you know, we're friends with several of the Yacht Club people, and you know, Sandy, I think especially, we reached out to at first of just like, hey, we're gonna move our day, and they were so sweet. They were just like, oh my god, like nobody told us, we didn't know, so, like we're so sorry, like please, like Sandy's like, I'll make a little animation like of, you know, Mina picking up the Dark Scrolls goose.
I saw that.
Etc. And like cool, and yeah, obviously we'll support, and we just kind of support each other back and forth, and it created a little like heartwarming story for the press. And you know, we're all friends, and we've all been working in the industry for a long time, and it's just like sometimes little overlaps like that happen, and like Mina had a lot of like momentum too, where like Dark Scrolls releasing on that day wasn't going to affect Mina. At the same time, it's like, it's a good gesture from everybody to just give each other the space. Like, we're not going to ask them to relocate, you know what I mean? No. To be like, I know you just announced that this is coming out in a week, please move it. And it's just like a nice gesture to be less competitive with each other and more collaborative. Like we all want to see each other succeed, right? So
yeah, exactly. Like there's room for both, and it's nice of you guys moving around. Because I know didn't you have to do something similar for Gato Roboto when Minute came out and it had a similar art style?
No, Minute came out before we even signed Gato Roboto. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, with Minute, it was, we were pitching it to publishers, and all the publishers are like, I don't know, it looks too much like Minute, which just came out. And then when we pitched it to Devolver, they're like, oh hell yeah, it looks like Minute, which just came out.
Because they published Minute as well, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
I feel like they publish all of the quirky indies. So.
Yeah. Especially the retro kind of style ones. I think they do a lot of kind of like the weird and smaller retro style games.
I know they published Swords of Ditto, which was a really good Zelda-like roguelike kind of game, which was good to see.
Yeah, I played a lot of that with my partner at the time.
Yeah, same. I still haven't 100% completed it, because I'll get through like a couple of I suppose generations of the main boss, and then kind of be like, oh, I've got other things I need to do now. What is there any plans to release Dark Scrolls for other platforms? I know you guys are pretty much Nintendo and Steam each time, but you ever think you'll release on PlayStation or Xbox?
I don't. There, you know, you'll see people asking, especially for Xbox, but there isn't really a huge audience there.
Yeah,
and like
I know with Xbox, especially.
I generally do porting myself, and one platform is plenty enough stuff, and Switch is still very good for like it's a good fit for the type of games we make, right? Like they're kind of evocative of old Nintendo games or something like that. Versus like on my PlayStation, I barely have any pixel art indie games. I have mostly if it's an indie game, it's a big 3D release, or like otherwise it's my From Software box, and or like I played the new Resident Evil on there, for instance. Like it was great. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Just like, again, with having to balance, do we want to start something new, or do we want to spend our time putting on a platform where, you know, 200 people will be really appreciative.
Plus with
if we do a bigger game that a bigger game that's more in line with, especially I'm a PlayStation as my console at home. So if we do a bigger sort of game with a style that makes more sense for the audience that's on PlayStation, then it would make more sense. But probably not for Dark Scrolls.
How are you feeling about the whole Sony announcement the other day? The physical's not being a thing for them in 28.
You know, I'd feel better about it, I think, if there was so much less DRM involved in everything.
If you actually owned the digital copy, would be, I think most people would be fine.
Right. Or like if there was like conservation efforts coming from the companies themselves about stuff like Lost Media really is a travesty in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that physical copies of games are the way that those necessarily will be preserved. I care a lot about game preservation and I mean, to me personally, I don't really care too much about game resale or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to save up and wait for something to get valuable and sell it. Like, I like to have it in my library and on my shelf. But I don't really care too much about that whole side of things. But I do think that, like, you know, if the PSN or the Nintendo Switch 3DS store or whatever goes offline, that having a way to have those games and experiences preserved and available in some way is something that we all in the industry should work harder towards making achievable.
It is sad that the main way a lot of these games are preserved is through emulation and people who dump the ROMs from cartridges they have. But I mean, it's getting better.
You know, if nobody else is doing the work, then dump it on the Pirate Bay, man. I also think, like, you know, like, game costs should have gone down considerably after we mostly pivoted to digital, because for a really long time, especially before CD-ROM, like almost 90% of the cost was manufacturing. Of the cost of the game was manufacturing. So like when people are like, oh, a game on the Nintendo NES was $60 now in nowadays money or whatever, $80 in nowadays money, and it's like they should have got cheaper actually, because like literally 90% of that was for manufacturing the cartridges. I also think there's a lot of waste involved with you know, making plastic stuff. So I'm kind of like on the fence about it. I buy all my games digitally, and I try to find DRM options if I can, or DRM free options if I can. But yeah, I do think like having an effort or a foundation or you know, a promise from companies making these sort of decisions, like, we're going to try our best to
preserve things,
have a library and preserve our work for the future is, I do think, a important thing.
The main thing I always hate with how they try and do physical but digital at the same time is the code in a box thing. That's just such a waste of like material.
It's complete costs. They don't even put a manual in there, you know.
It makes me laugh with GTA 6 especially. Like, it's Rockstar, they can afford to put a disc in the box. Even if it was a disc that just made you download the whole game, it would be better than just a box.
Yeah, I don't know like how big, because they're still using Blu-ray, right, for bigger games. I don't know how large or what the data capacity is. I wonder if that's why they chose that.
So you can get...
But you could have done multiple discs. You know, we did that with Final Fantasy VII.
I think if you dual layer a Blu-ray, you get 100 gigs. So Final Fantasy Rebirth has 2 discs, and that's 150 gigs. So they could have done it. I understand it might have been pricey, but I'm sure people would have paid it. But, you know.
Yeah. And pay $100 for a digital game. So
exactly. Great. So, have you got any plans for a 3D title at all? Is that something you've thought about? Or yeah. Is that something you can talk about, or is that under wrap still?
No. We don't have any specific title lined up next, but like, we love making retro, especially 2D games, but we've become really proficient at it, and it's a little less exciting to work in that play space for especially action games is like what we like to make, right? Where the extra axis adds like a lot of different possibility and stuff. And when I look at 2D games, obviously not every idea is dried up, etc. Like there's a infinite wealth of things you can do, but there's a lot of immediately obvious things that haven't been done in 3D that I can think of off the top of my head that that I don't have that same sort of hasn't anybody done this yet in the 2D kind of playfield space. So definitely something we're interested in. We want to do something gigantic because again we're small.
3D Gato Roboto maybe.
We've thought about doing Gato Roboto Prime.
That'd be sick. Prime's one of my favorite games.
That's a kind of joke that we've had since we worked on the original Gato Roboto.
I would love to see
really
that.
Kind of like that would take a lot of like planning and risk and stuff like that we probably want to get a little bit more familiar with, like what the newer 3D workflows are right now, because we haven't worked in 3D since early Unity stuff, really. So
if you do make that, please call it Gato Roboto Prime. That's a great name.
And we would get away with it, and everybody would love it.
I'm sure. You wouldn't be compared at all. Okay, so then back to Dark Scrolls again. So at what point in development did you find Dark Scrolls was really coming together? Is there a particular moment you can remember with it you were like, this is definitely where we're going to go next, this is our next game kind of thing?
As soon as we got the first character and we got Grizz in, and first level and boss, and then Pigeon in as the second character, and then added local co-op. And that's basically where we pitched it. And then we added Emrys too, so you could have a selection between the three. And that's where we pitched it. And we had our producer was visiting us she lives in Poland, but she was visiting us, and we're like, check out what we're working on. And we played a bunch of co-op rounds of it together, and we're like, yeah, this is fun. And this is immediately, obviously, the type of thing that we like working on and that we want to be working on, versus some of our other prototypes that we were kind of trying out. So
that's awesome, because
they definitely like getting to play it co-op, I think.
That's interesting, because with me for the co-op, although I'd still enjoyed it, the single player hooked me more because of how crazy you could get with the star system, because you could just end up with so much going on screen that didn't happen as much in multiplayer. But it's interesting. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we hadn't really dialed in the star system all the way yet at that point either. So
okay.
But just like playing a co-op game where you could get a few power-ups like bombs and fire and electricity or whatever was just like the little one level demo we had was, yeah.
This was kind of an early one for me, kind of more of a question for me, really. Obviously, my channel's quite small. I kind of just reached out to you guys and used Sandy's name to help me through the door. What kind of makes you guys decide who gets review copies? I'm guessing, does Devolver get involved in that, or is it more you guys just go and see who you like and pass out from there?
So Devolver has like, they have like I think it's like they have a landing page somewhere on their website for like quote unquote influencers or whoever wants to reach out. They have press contacts, from their long storied history of being a game publisher that they'll, reach out to, or for traditional media. And then from our stuff is if we see somebody that we like, they're basically never going to say no.
Nice.
Unless it's something like incredibly unvetted, or they're like, hey dude, that's a scam. Like, or like that kind of thing, which, we aren't usually like, Britt and I aren't usually like reaching out to people being like, hey, will you cover this? But if like somebody like you or like Tucker reaches out to us and says, hey, would you guys want to have an interview or stuff, is like, it doesn't cost us anything to give you a key or anything like that. So like, yeah, of course we will. Like, especially I think I particularly like talking to smaller channels or smaller interviewers too, because we're coming from the same place, I think. When we'd started making games, it was like we were the smaller, like less known people, and there's sort of like we're both in the same industry coming at different angles, but from the same same
level
groundwork or tier, that like, even if there isn't a gigantic reach or anything like that, is like, it's beneficial to us to have these conversations and get to talk with each other, and maybe we unearth something, and also like just beneficial to, in like an image way, and I'm not like, oh, I'm using you, but like in an image way, like we are the type of people who don't really care about the status of a particular reporter or anything like that, and so we also want to be perceived that way, which means taking the interviews.
That's awesome. And I mean, like, I can guarantee you smaller channels like mine appreciate it a hell of a lot when we get sort of games from everywhere. I mean, getting from Yacht Club Games and from you as well was kind of gave me the boost I needed to get back into doing more with my channel and reaching out with interviews. So I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm having a kind of relaxing Thursday. It's no huge, it's not like a waste of time or anything to me. It's not like, oh, I need to go feed. I do got to be doing other stuff, but I'm just like working all the time anyway. I'd rather have a chill conversation and like talk about stuff sometimes to get a break from doing the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my day job is much less exciting than talking to game developers, so I appreciate it too.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got time for a couple of more, so let's go for we actually spoke a little bit about my review I did for Dark Scrolls. How do you find they impact you as a developer? Do you find you take pretty much every review on board, or is there things you kind of hear and go, I get that they didn't like it, but that's not the sort of thing I want to make? How do you sort of react to reviews?
I am a sicko who likes bad reviews. And by bad, I mean negative, not bad reviews, because there's bad reviews and there's negative reviews. Like if the review is bad, it's pretty clear, and it doesn't matter if they're glazing you or if they're ripping you apart. Like sometimes there's just not a lot of useful critique in a review. Yeah. Those are the most frustrating ones for me, where I'm like if it's a negative review that also isn't very useful to me, like if it's a critique of like genre conventions, like that isn't helpful, and like also generally isn't a good read, and I can't even like get mad. I can't even get mad and be like, oh, you're against me or anything. It's like, oh, you just don't like the type of video game you're reviewing. But with negative reviews that are critical, a lot of it goes like, I'm like, yes, I knew that, and I should have fixed it, and you're right, and we do carry forward a lot of like the criticism of like, here's how we're perceived as having failed in our execution on our previous title. Here's what we can do better in our next one to like address that. Or sometimes we get like heels dug in artist syndrome and are like, fuck that, no, we're the best, and then with good reviews, it's like it's nice to see people when they're the best type of review is obviously like a positive review where somebody gets what you're going for and they get your vision and they're doing that. That still has some, but this in execution could have been done a little bit better. Like 100% just glazing, it just can sometimes feel a little inauthentic.
You can kind of tell.
No game's perfect, and definitely not ours. So like if it's like this is like an absolute perfect, brilliant, beautiful baby game, and it's the best thing ever made. It's like it can be your favorite game, it can be the favorite thing you've ever played, but like if your job's to be doing criticism and I'm not receiving any of that one way or the other, then that's usually the only time I don't like a review. And then with like user reviews, is like a lot of them are like gripes that you have to kind of read between the lines from, like, oh, the jump height in this game is crazy and impossible and the worst thing ever. And I'm like, I did spend 300 hours dialing that in, and reading between the lines is like, oh, the introductory levels maybe should just have easier jumps. I don't have to make the jump height higher. I have to just make the actual geometry, the jumps easier while people are getting used to the controls. So taking in a lot of that feedback and kind of being like, yeah. And like the worst ones are ones where you go, oh, I know. I thought nobody would notice. And I know, like, that's like the most like pain. But like in general, like,
sorry, carry on.
It's like I ran out of time to do controller mapping. Mm-hmm. And like, it's a little trickier than it sounds. And I'm like, and I forgot to get it localized, which is another, again, like every single thing you have to do. If there's new text in the game, it has to be in all the languages, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, and like, hitting that like last sprint towards the finish line, I was just like, I'll put it in later. It comes up in every user review.
Do you reckon you'll put it into your first patch?
Hopefully, yeah. I'm working on it right now, but. With button remapping, I was like, I wish I could use the trigger or something to fire. But to be fair, with Steam and Switch anyway, you can so easily remap buttons through the system itself. It wasn't really that big of a deal. Yeah. Yeah, even it's not on Xbox, but even Xbox has, like, because of the adaptive controller and stuff, they have a lot of stuff like that. Where like you go, oh, you can just remap it yourself, and people are like, I don't want to, or I want to do it in your menu. Like, I'm just like so used to like emulators and setting up or like playing a Steam game that like needs the community mapping and just finding the best one, or like making your own, that I don't think about it too much. I did think about it on this one and kind of went, fuck, I'm doing it again where I don't have control mapping. It's going to be fine though. And like, it's in every review. I do find with Steam, especially on Steam Deck, with the community mappings, they're so useful to have. So yeah, that's the I love that feature. Yeah, I play on Deck a lot too. So
I'd hope that I doubt it'll happen because I know Nintendo doesn't really do that level of community stuff, but it'd be cool to have that on Switch as well, because the remapping system on Switch is so good. So any games you're particularly excited for at the moment, indie or otherwise? What's your next buy?
Let's see. I was just looking at something I saw. Let me open up Steam. Let me see what's going on here.
The Star Fox remake was my most recent purchase.
I wasn't particularly interested in the Star Fox remake. I'll be looking forward to the Ocarina of Time one, though. Yeah. I just got to see what you think is worth remaking about it, at least. Let's see, games that I'm excited for. I've been playing a lot of Hot Wax demo by Pancake Delicieux.
That's interesting. Not heard that before.
It's a Tetris game where you play like the Tetris blocks. The tetrominoes have candle wicks, and then you drop a flame, and then each drop the candles burn down, and your goal is to keep the fires. You get points by keeping the fires as long as possible.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I've been playing a lot of that demo, so I'll be looking forward to that for release. And then it didn't just come out, but I just started playing a game called Fox Quest 2.
That's a great title.
And it's one of the fucking funniest things I've ever played. Like it's an incredible amount of jokes, and it's working really well for me so far. I've played about an hour of Fox Quest 2.
I'm gonna have to write that down. I take it there's a Fox Quest 1.
Read the Steam. I've read the Steam page the store description like 100 times. Like, it's so funny.
From the Steam Next Fest, I checked out a game called Restory, where you take apart and clean and repair like old consoles and Tamagotchis and TVs and stuff like that. I'm not normally into that kind of game, but for some reason that just had me hooked in straight away because I used to do that as a hobby. So it's pretty cool to see that as a game.
Nice.
Okay. I think we'll go for one more question. and then I'll let you go because we have ended up over 2 hours, but I'm more than happy with that. Gonna have lots to edit. So was there any bugs that occurred? I can't write. Any bugs that occurred during development that you decided to add to the game, or are still in the game, and you just were happy it's there?
It's kind of like a little touchy, but there's like a pretty large iframe window on Grizzly's ground pound. And Britt just liked playing Grizzly so much, and I was watching the way he was playing him was using the iframes to move through enemies and keep pounding on them. And that's been brought up as this character's busted and you need to balance the thing. But I'm like, but it's so fun that, you know, we noticed it and we left it in. We're like, and I've tried touching it up, and every time I make them have less iframes on that, it like becomes less fun. And I'm like, I really don't want to fix it, but that kind of stayed in.
That's a good attitude to have to it, to be honest, because if it makes it more fun, it's not like you're balancing this for like a competitive multiplayer. So leaving something fun like that in is a way better choice, in my opinion. So good job.
That was kind of like one of our general theses for the game is like we're gonna value fun more than balance. So if something fun or funny happens, then it's even in co-op, it's like funny when you watch your friend do something crazy, overpowered or silly.
It was the same with the star system for me, just ending up with, if you get the upgraded, I in a couple of runs, I got it where I could buy the upgrade to the star building up twice. So I would just end up with the screen constantly covered in fireballs, fairies, poison, and that was when I was having the most fun. So yeah, I'm glad you left in that overpowered sort of stuff.
Yeah. Other than that, not a lot of like bugs that I get what you're asking though. Like we've definitely, I can't think of any examples right now. I think it especially happens with like physics-based 3D games where like something funny happens and you go, oh, that's the game now.
Yeah.
Like, but not particularly in this one. There are definitely a few like little bugs or something that were like, I don't know, it's kind of nice. Oh no, I've got a good one. Saturn can abduct anything that's of the class of like basic enemy prop, which includes like springs and chests and coins.
Oh, right.
But with the basic enemy, the way that I built the dragon boss is that each head is a basic enemy. So you could abduct the dragon head.
You can abduct. Is that still in the game?
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to get back to that boss now.
We actually, like, with the little character objective things that pop up, we did make it into his last character objective is to go get like 9 total dragon heads.
That's amazing. And does it kill?
Yeah, that was a complete accident. It does kill him. Yeah, it works. It works and it kills him. Like we didn't have to fix anything for that to do it. But it was like I was playing with Britt in co-op and he did it. And he went, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Okay, get the other ones. Let's see if it crashes." And then he did, and it didn't crash. And we're like, "Okay, we can keep it."
That has to stay. That's literally going to make me replay as Saturn just to do that now. That sounds amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. If you haven't already played Dark Scrolls, definitely go check it out. Great. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. My name's Phil, and I'm the creator of the Pixel Tavern. A big thank you to Cullen for his time for the interview, and of course, just a great chat. If you enjoyed this interview, you can find more on the channel, such as my 80+ minute interview with Sandy Gordon of Yacht Club Games. Please also check out my other videos, including my review of Dark Scrolls. And like, subscribe, and comment to help the Pixel Tavern grow. There are more videos on screen now for you to check out, but until next time, I hope you all keep well, and once again, thank you very much for watching.